The point of all of this, and also the point of struggle, is that these are very difficult issues. I'm very pleased to be part of this dialogue. I'm at the Center for American Progress, which is a progressive think tank headed by John Podesta. I've been there for almost 5 years, working on the broader Middle East and South Asia. My experience, as we talked about, is rooted not only with having lived in the Middle East for about 5 years, including about 2 years in the West Bank and Gaza Strip at a very different time. It's also informed by a lot of the things that shaped my life and me as a Catholic, a Christian, who've looked at these issues very closely, and then having lived in the Holy Land, really seen, I think, the tragedy and the missed opportunities to move forward. And when I look at the work that I do as a policy analyst, one thing that I keep in the back of my mind, which would disappoint my former Augustinian colleagues at Villanova University, is a quote from St. Francis of Assisi, which whenever I think about these issues, I always put it first and foremost. While proclaiming peace with your lips, take care to have it even more fully in your hearts. While proclaiming peace with your lips, take care to have it even more fully in your hearts. It's, I think, something that in a Washington and in a Middle East peace policy making context, we often get wrapped around the axle of the best idea or the best iteration of the Clinton parameters, and we forget about the broader values that should inform and shape our work. And what I want to do briefly in about 5-7 minutes, I hope, is offer one overall analysis, which is, I think, it dovetails quite well with what Joel has said, and I don't know if Trita will agree or disagree with this, and then offer 3 recommendations for you, because you're here as part of an advocacy conference, and I want to say a few things about the type of Washington that you're about to experience, and maybe offer some 3 points connected to the policy issues I want to talk about. So briefly, the overall analysis, and the thing that you should keep in mind, and Joel touched upon this, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is swimming in a broader region which is under incredible transformation. The geopolitics of the region is changing in ways that those who have the luxury, like me, that get paid to actually read, listen, debate, and talk, we're still trying to make sense of this transformation that is happening. And to appreciate that while you're pushing forward what I think is one of the most important pillars of bringing greater stability and prosperity to this region, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, keep in mind this broader transformation. We've seen it just in the last few weeks. Turkey asserting itself in certain ways, Iran making a play for greater regional leadership, if you will. And I know Trita is going to talk about that. But the region is much more multipolar. And U.S. leverage is not what it used to be. And I think this is the one thing that when I talk to some of my friends who have moved into the Obama administration, and we at the Center have lost about 60 colleagues to the White House and the State Department, but we've built back and we're still doing a good job, I think. The one phrase that comes up quite a lot is easier said than done. Easier said than done with an administration which I think went in with a lot of the high ideals that many of all of us in this room share in their hearts, and they're hitting a reality of a region that is much more complicated, and that's why they need you. They need people like you who are interested and engaged in this issue in moving forward. They also need you because I think the sorts of strategies I think they've sought to implement, and you can read my writings, I think in my constructive criticisms, those strategies are necessarily incomplete because of the complications of the region. This has prompted a debate, which you'll see, and you probably have taken note of. Conservative critiques of the Obama administration have prompted a debate that really want to, I think, stonewall and not achieve progress on a lot of the key issues. You see this in the so-called strong horse narrative that now, since President Obama entered office, he went to Cairo and apologized for the United States to a range of countries. This strong horse narrative, I think, tends towards an over-militarized approach to national security and foreign policy that is no longer in touch with the realities of the region, that misunderstands the nature of power. And I think this is an administration that gets it a lot better than others, but still hasn't fully implemented, that the nature of power in the international arena, and especially in the Middle East, has changed, that simply having 215,000 U.S. troops in the broader Middle East is not going to necessarily make us safer or the region more stable. That we need to use the economic, diplomatic tools and also the powers of ideas and faith, too, which I think should be a focus and is a focus in the region. So that's a broader analytical point. I'll get into three quick recommendations, but it's something to keep in mind because what you're pressing for is terribly important. You have people inside of the administration who are debating with each other about the best way forward, and they need people to actually help them advance the broader agenda and specific items like the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and finally resolving it. Three quick recommendations. And again, I offer these, I think, to help inform your work, and with the understanding that the Middle East is a region where miracles were once widely reported, but those miracles seem in short supply in recent years. But miracles can be made through action and work and the sorts of things that you're doing today. Recommendation number one. Stay focused on this broader regional picture while you're pushing for a resolution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. And here I'll just say a few things. Number one, the Arab Peace Initiative, which was first introduced 8 years ago, about 8 years ago, reintroduced multiple times, but introduced at the Arab League Summit. It's been reiterated since 2002 at that first Arab League Peace Summit. I know you have some speakers later on this afternoon that have thought comprehensively about how to move forward, because if there's one strong criticism, which I've issued and have actually gotten reactions to from some of my former colleagues about the Obama administration's handling of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, is that it's gotten lost in the weeds of its own tactics sometimes, and it's forgotten the broader, bigger picture. And I think the Arab Peace Initiative, which, again, King Abdullah of Saudi Arabia, King Abdullah of Jordan, I think it was in 2007, I sat in Speaker Pelosi's box and saw him give a speech to both houses of Congress, well attended, to talk about the Arab Peace Initiative. This broader infrastructure is essential, and I'm not saying think big and forget about all of the other pieces of solving Jerusalem and building the economy for the Palestinians. I'm saying let's not lose sight of the bigger picture, which I fear we have. We certainly have when I think we look at the issue of Turkey and its growing role in the region. And as an analyst, I think you can take this in two ways. And I think we do see some neoconservative and conservative analysts who are saying this is Turkey simply turning its back on the West and going towards Islam. And I actually think there's something fundamentally more different happening here in Turkey's role in trying to build a strategy of zero problems with all of its neighbors. And then I think the reaction so far by the Obama administration to Turkey's efforts in the region has been the wisest one of this is a major force, and we need to continue to try to build bridges with this major force in trying to solve some of the key problems and challenges in the region. Second, I would say Syria and Lebanon, and I just want to briefly touch upon this. I think it's an exclusive focus just on Israeli-Palestinian peace runs the risk of remaking some of the mistakes I think were made in the previous, under the Clinton administration in the late 1990s, where you have two tracks competing with each other. And this is why I think keeping our eye on that more comprehensive focus is essential. And I think there are very real risks of another war reigniting in southern Lebanon and Syria. And I think we need to keep our eye on that. So first recommendation, stay focused on this broader picture while pushing forward a resolution to the core conflict. Number two, and it's connected to the first one, offer proactive and strategic rather than reactive and tactical positions and advice. And I say this in light of the Gaza flotilla incident, which was, I think, a terrible tragedy and need not have happened, similar to the Gaza war of 2008. But far too often, and I've been working on the Middle East for about 20 years now, I think for those of us who support a comprehensive two-state solution, who want to see good things in the region, we spend a lot of our own individual time and energy reacting to actions and focusing on minor pieces. And this, again, this is one of my constructive critiques of the Obama administration. I think it's good that they highlighted that the situation in the Gaza Strip is unsustainable in multiple quotes last week. People knew this for a while. We need not have had a flotilla incident raise this. Israelis know this. Certainly my friends in the Gaza Strip, the Palestinians know this. And even after last week with the high-level visit of Mahmoud Abbas, I'm still wondering, what are we going to do about it? And I think it's important that $400 million has been committed to help the Palestinians of the Gaza Strip. I'm curious to see how much of that actually gets in there, because after the Gaza war in the spring of last year, there was a major donor conference in Sharm el-Sheikh where billions were committed to the Gaza Strip. And it's almost like a very bad version of the movie Groundhog Day. And part of it, I think, is we do get focused on tactical pieces and implementation. And again, have a vision, because I think the power of a vision that is comprehensive, that is even inclusive of, and I'd like to hear what Trita says about this, of Iran in the longer run. At some point in our lifetimes, it can happen that you have a comprehensive peace agreement that includes Iran. And I think if we're not striving for that, I don't know what we're doing in the realm of Middle East policymaking. Our options on national security today, because so many of the people you're meeting with and so many of the people I talk to at the White House and even at the State Department, but especially the White House, it's not that they're not focusing on these national security items, it's that our attention has been drawn inward. We're at war still in two places, and we have more than 200,000 troops in the broader Middle East, and I don't think we've had a broad enough debate on Afghanistan and what we're doing. I am deeply concerned about the range of options that are being presented on Iran, and we're going to hear about that from Trita. But my point to you is to connect this issue, the issue of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, to how we view our public policy agenda here at home and also what is happening abroad. I think it was notable that General David Petraeus, the top military commander in the Middle East, highlighted the thorn in the side that the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is. I think it was notable to see the reaction to those comments. And to me, and I travel quite frequently to Pakistan and Afghanistan, I'm going to Pakistan early next month, this issue comes up. And we can't ignore that the Israeli-Palestinian conflict does not matter. So if there's a final recommendation, it is to connect what some may see as a modest, marginal issue. And believe me, I mean, it's changed so much in the last 15 or 20 years. People are trying to push peace, I think, lower on the agenda. But connect it to the broader issues of how does America actually revive its position in the world. Connect it to the broader issue of how do we end wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, and do it coherently. So in conclusion, my main point here, and I really, before I came here this morning, I printed out and reread the Churches for Middle East Peace's mission statement and its core objectives. This town needs you. And if you can use this period to think about how this experience can get us all to work together more coherently to a national security strategy in the Middle East, and